Today we are going to be talking about visualizing the pentatonic scale, its targets, as well as an introduction to chromatic targeting. Earlier this week, I was working with Noah, who's a student of mine, and Noah is just now starting to work on improvisation and targeting on the grand scale. And like possibly some of you, had been struggling with getting the pentatonic sound under his fingers and in his ears. And Noah was struggling with being someone that's just always read notes from the page. So visualizing was something that we really needed to do for Noah. So I created a link. So if you want to click the link that's at the description, no, really go ahead, click the link at the description. I'll give you a second because it's going to take a second probably to load depending on what device you're looking on, but go ahead and click that link. The information that's at the top is for those that haven't been following along Improvisation Thursdays so far. So there's a little snippet about what we've covered. But if you want to scroll down to the bottom, that's really where the visualization aids come into play. Everything that I usually have on my blog on my website is written notes because most musicians are coming from a written perspective. But I wanted to show you that you can also visualize. This is something that I actually do when I'm playing. Not everything that I think about is written out notes. I actually like to visualize notes or numbers, whichever happens to work better for you. So what we have in that first graphic down there towards the bottom is the C pentatonic scale, C, D, E, G, A. And if you expand it out for the full range of your instrument and separate it by octaves, that's what those graphics represent. And then I put boxes on the C, the E, and the G because for Noah, that ended up giving him a good visualization of those target notes as well as the full range of his horn. So when we started working on some various ideas on the pentatonic scale, he had that visualization in front of him, and it actually ended up being something incredibly helpful. So if you're somebody who likes to visualize things as opposed to just reading notes, especially when we get into the improvisation process further along, that visualization may be helpful for you, especially as we start adding tools. That visualization link will be incredible because it'll help you keep track of where things are at in its octaves and what note you're targeting. You just get that visual map. So it's actually really great to have. The other part that I wanted to cover today that I alluded to last week was introduction to chromatic targeting. So chromatic targeting is we are still aiming at a note, but we are going to be approaching it either from a half step below or a half step above or various combinations. So because this is an introduction to chromatic targeting today, we're going to start with the very basic, the very simple half step below or a half step above. So I'm going to be using the B flat pentatonic scale. And if you approach our target notes from a half step below, so on the 1, the 5, the 3, and then the 1 again, you're going to have this half step movement. And of course, the opposite end of that is a half step above. Each again, the 1, the 5, the 3, and the 1. And of course, you can do various combinations of this. And as I'm sure you're probably expecting, you can combine various different options. Or the other direction. And as we begin to explore these a little bit more, you can expand further out by various half-step combinations, but we're not going to get started with that today. We were just going to introduce the concept of chromatic targeting. And again, if we're using the grand scale, the key area of the 1, the 3, and the 5, if we approach it by a half step above or a half step below, that's really where the beginning of this basis of chromatic targeting really starts to take shape. So I hope that visualization aid in that link has helped you out. Hope you guys have been enjoying Improvisation Thursdays. Be sure to hit the like button, share it if you've been finding it beneficial or helpful, and I will see you guys next week when we start expanding chromatic targeting a little bit further.